Hello guys and welcome to the video. This is part 3 of the Power Tips series on XAT decision making section. If you haven't watched the previous two videos, you might want to watch them first. Okay, so here is the 2 cents for today. In questions and situations that involve a grieving employee, colleague or customer, remember that emotion management is at least as important as redressal of the grievance, redressal of the situation. So if a grieving employee or customer comes to you or complains about a, a, a perceived wrong, the first thing you want to do is calm him down, show some empathy. Remember, ultimately, human beings are emotional, and if you can't manipulate them emotionally, you cannot make them receptive to what you're about to say or what you're about to offer. So, empathy is as important as redressal of the perceived wrong. So, show some empathy, be transparent, be honest. Remember, someone who's already mad at you would expect you to be totally honest and justify or give him a rational justification of uh, why what transpired. The third is incentivization. If you can somehow tell the other person, the grieving customer or grieving employee, that the policy implemented will have benefits for the employee too, which he might have overlooked, then you have probably taken a step closer to solving the problem, resolving the issue. Finally, the last is the revocation or redressal. Remember, this is the last of the 4 steps. Revoking the decision or revoking a policy that a stakeholder might be complaining about is probably your last resort. So redressal or revocation is last in the list. Ideally, uh, if you can incentivize, if you can give the stakeholder some incentive, he will buy the policy and the grievance will be settled. You can also try to manage his emotions. So these two probably take precedence. Okay, let's see some examples from previous year XAT questions. I don't remember the year, probably XAT 2018, but I'm not sure. Okay, you are a human resource manager in the HR department of Vikas Educational Charitable Trust. You organize and support recruitment and training, provide secretarial support for disciplinary investigations, keep personnel records of staff. You report to Ms. Dilipa, one of the 2 senior HR managers who reports to HR director. Okay. So this is my designation. I am the HR manager and I report to a senior HR manager who reports to HR director. All right. For the post of consultant professor in the trust, 2 internal candidates. Okay. Mr. Rana and Mr. Charan were interviewed. Mr. Charan was selected as he was considered to be academically gifted with impressive leadership skills, even though he had less experience than the other. All right. 3 days later, Mr. Rana came to your office complaining that the selection was unfair as he had more experience than Mr. Charan. Okay. So we have understood the situation here. The situation is a grieving employee. Mr. Rana is grieving. And the problem with him right now is that he considers experience as the exclusive criteria for selection. All right. So what is the best way to handle this issue raised by Rana? Option 1 says, tell Mr. Rana that you empathize with him. Okay, so empathy is there. But the process was fair. Okay, rational justification also coming up. and details of the assessment could be shared with him. So transparency is also there. All right. So we have transparency, we have empathy, and we have rational justification of the selection. All right. Could be the answer. Option 2, tell Mr. Rana that he is interested, he could write to the HR director. Now, it does not involve any empathy and you would act as per the directives received. So this is a superficial response guiding to the higher authorities or escalating it to higher authorities. Superficial response does not involve either of the elements. Option 3, tell Mr. Rana that the institute finds the right person for the job, not the one who has been around the longest. Okay, so experience is not the only criteria. Wonderful. Now, many candidates, I have spoken to many students. In fact, many people have posted this as a doubt. So many candidates actually selected this option because this is rational. It's a rational, it provides a rational justification. Okay, for the selection. So telling Mr. Rana that experience is not the only criteria seems to be a logical response. However, what it lacks is empathy. Therefore, when you compare 1 and 3, 1 has more elements. It has transparency also. You offer transparency, you offer empathy and rational justification, and not just rational justification. And therefore, option 1 is better than option 3, which is also the official answer. Okay. Offer T to Mr. Rana, maybe you can count it as empathy, emotion management, and say that you can understand, okay, clearly, empathy. Let him have a bit of moan and help him get it out. Now, this option involves only emotion management, but no redressal. There is no rational justification involved. So 3 and 4 both have one element each, while option 1 has all the 3 elements we would want in an ideal answer choice. Warn Mr. Rana that his complaint will be construed as misdemeanor and held against him. Now, this is threat. A grieving employee, the last thing that he wants to hear is threat. So 5 is definitely not the answer. Let's look at another set. Mrs. Bhalla is the principal of Happy Public School. Okay. While it is a private school, the trust is socially sensitive, and as part of their spread happiness policy, provides quality education to many needy students from the low income neighborhood for free. Okay. She received a strange complaint from some of the affluent parents regarding their discomfort with allowing poor students to study along with their kids. All right. So the rich parents are not happy about it. They were concerned more about their manners, habits, and language than about schooling. Okay. Please note that they're concerned more about their manners, etc., than about their schooling. Does not mean they're only concerned about their manners. Okay. They wanted the trust to either start a separate shift for such children or remove them from the school since they are supporting them. On the other hand, the parents of the poor children complained of bullying and teasing and shared their concern regarding the mental trauma their children undergo. So basically, rich parents are also not happy with the move. Poor parents are not happy with the move either. While Mrs. Bhalla by no means wants to yield to the demands, okay, so revocation of the policy is not an option. All right. Of the affluent parents, she also cannot ignore them since some of them have been making substantial donations to the schools. Okay. So now read the question carefully. Which of the following is most likely to get the affluent parents to accept the school's policy? So revoking the policy is not an option. You have to make affluent parents accept the school's policy. Now, this was an interesting question, a very interesting question. Option 1 says, share the fact that the government instituted school ranking places 25% weight to policies similar to the schools. Now, what you are doing here is giving reason behind the policy. This is rational justification. Also, you are giving an incentive, you're incentivizing acceptance of the policy among parents by telling them that 25% weight in school rankings is given to similar policies. Now, that gives the parents incentive, because if the school in which their kids are studying will be ranked higher, relatively speaking, then they also get something out of it. So basically, this is incentivization for parents also. So it has two elements, two components: rational justification and incentivization also. It can change their emotion. So I can say so that in a sense, their emotion has been managed. The negative, the negativity that they approached this policy with is likely to be subsided when they hear that 25% weight will be given to such policies in school ranking. So option one sounds like a good option, but let's see. Accept the suggestion of the affluent parents to start a separate shift, which will amount to revocation, which is already out of the choices. Option three, invite professionals to conduct workshop for the poorer children so that they can learn basic manners, habits, and language. All right. Most candidates marked option three because affluent parents were concerned more about their manners, habits, and language. So if you can somehow address these concerns by conducting a workshop, you will probably get them on board with this policy. Okay. However, there are two problems in option three. First, the affluent parents were concerned more about their manners than about schooling. So they're also concerned about schooling. Besides, they're also concerned about their money because they are supporting them. Therefore, they demand a removal from school or starting a separate shift. Okay. So the first thing is, this is not the exclusive concern. This is probably the major concern. And even after addressing this major concern, other concerns may remain, and they may still not accept the policy wholeheartedly. Second, if you compare it with option one had three elements. It gives them incentive and therefore manages their emotion. It also gives them rational justification because it is a government policy. The school can't do much about it. They will have to accept it. Okay. But option three, remember, the workshop may or may not yield results, and the if at all, it is neither justification of the policy. Option three does not involve any justification why the policy has been implemented in the first place. What is the need for the policy? There's no justification. There's no incentive for the parents either. All you are doing is redressing their concern, or rather addressing them by conducting a workshop. So it would not change their emotion either, not at least totally. So on these counts, option one is better than option three. And I think this is what the XAT setters also had in mind when they marked option one as the official choice, or when they set the question per se. Most candidates, however, marked option three, and maybe in the exam setting, I might have also gone with option three because this addresses the problem directly. It's a direct address to the problem. However, when you come to think of it, option one is better on multiple counts. Okay, options 4 and 5 do nothing. Conducting meetings is not and seeking solutions from the parents themselves is actually no resolution to the issue. So this goes out. Both of them, in fact, go out. All right. One more question that might help you understand the grieving stakeholder situation here. Sanchit Group of Hospitals seeks to improve the success rate and patient satisfaction rate by 100% in the next year. Okay, so that's the objective. Success rate, patient satisfaction has to be increased by 100% in the next year. However, the management can't afford to send doctors for professional development outside the country, nor afford purchasing more equipment. Okay, as an in-house measure, the managing board thought of having doctors with high patient satisfaction to mentor those with less. Okay, most of the doctors found it an interference by the management, judgmental, and an expression of distrust. All right, there were, however, some isolated few who found it a novel way of learning from each other. All right, doctors felt that the management should instead increase consultancy fees, okay, and spend more, okay, on recruiting more paramedics, all right, who could spend time with patients rather than blame doctors, and decided to call it quits. For the management, this would mean loss of patients. So situation understood. The hospital wants to increase customer satisfaction, patient satisfaction rate by 100%. So who are all the stakeholders here? The stakeholders involved are doctors, uh, patients, paramedics are also involved, and ultimately the hospital is also involved. Okay. Which of the following decisions is most likely to satisfy all the stakeholders? All right. We have to satisfy all the stakeholders. Again, doctors are grieving. They are calling it quits. Let us see how we can best manage. Remember, first, empathy, if it is available in any of the answer choices. Second, transparency. Third, incentivization. Okay. And fourth, revocation or redressal if nothing works. Okay. Let's see. Empathy or emotion management, as I call it. First, raise income of the doctors. Wonderful. Which means incentivization. Reduce the waiting time of patients. Tempting choice. However, reducing the waiting time of patients would mean you are not increasing the number of doctors, which means time spent per patient has to be reduced. If time spent per patient has to be reduced, it might be counterintuitive and patient satisfaction rate might actually drop. So, on the one hand, you are reducing the waiting time for patients, but to do so with the same number of doctors, you will also have to reduce time spent per patient, which might actually lead to a drop in patient satisfaction rate. So the second thing is dubious. Let us put a question mark and let us see. Also, all stakeholders are not involved. Doctors are involved, patients are involved. What about the paramedics? Allow doctors to choose patients based on income levels, thus profiting both the patients and the organizations. But where have patients gone? Patients are the biggest stakeholders here, the major stakeholders, because the ultimate objective is to increase the satisfaction rate by 100%. All right. Increase the income of the doctors, perfect. And the number of paramedics, perfect. Income increased, okay. But what about the patients? We don't know. Increase the income of the doctors and paramedics. Two stakeholders are involved. Income increased, incentivization there, okay. And the ambience of the hospital, wow. Now, by improving the ambience of the hospital, you are actually catering to patients. So patients are also involved. All the stakeholders are involved here. Also, this ambience factor is actually equal. If you look at it closely, it is actually equivalent to emotion management. Improving the ambience of the hospital is a manipulation of emotions somehow. So it also has this uh, extra or added advantage here. So incentivization is there in all the options, but in option 4, we also have emotion management or emotion manipulation. So of all the options 4, is the best fit, which is also the official answer, by the way. So 1 and 3, though tempting, they're defeated by option 4, which involves one extra element. So guys, I hope you got the message from this video. Wherever a question involves grievance and the objective is to address that grievance, remember, emotion management is as important as solid or concrete action or rationalization. All right, hope you enjoyed it. Keep working hard. Cheers to learning.